Look.
Let's give him the praise. Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Shema, Yahshua, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahshua, Let's go. Every day is a blessing. I'ma give you praise from all we go through in our meditation. No greater love than you, the rebuke we take. No other God before you, don't do the hate. Revelation 1:14, don't do the grave. On the Sabbath, every rest, we don't do complain. You hear that murmur in the wilderness, he gets restrained. Hear that murmur in the wilderness, he gets restrained. That's what he wants from you. Yahweh, anything you say, you do. Everything in that word is true. It's true. It's true. Yeah, yeah. No, we owe it all to you. We owe it all to you. We give it all to you. You say it's right here, we don't want to quit. One Lord, one God, Shema. Yahshua, Yahshua, Yahweh, we gon' give him praise, we gon' give him praise. Each when we pray, he gon' move our faith. Send the prayers of the righteous and violence. Put our trust in our Father, the mind is touched. We gon' leave like them with the God's will. First Timothy 4:20, God in us. We gon' cast away the fear that abide in us. We gon' cast away the fear that abide in us. Yahweh, anything you say, we do. Everything in that word is true. It's true. Yeah, yeah. Go we owe it all to you. Go we owe it all. Let us give it all to you. You say it's right here. We get one Lord, one Lord, one Lord. Yahshua,
Okay. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom to everybody here in class and everybody watching online. This is the Hebrew Chosen Elect out of Wilmington, Delaware Sabbath class that we do every Shabbat, usually from 1 to 4 p.m., but bit of a late start again. So Salakia, if you usually are tuned in at 1 o'clock, we're here for class at 1 o'clock. One second. I think we got some background. Then close something out. It's a lot good. But yes, once again, this is the Hebrew Chosen Elect Sabbath class, usually from 1 to 4 o'clock. And getting a bit of a start, it's being 2:30 now. Today, we're going to start and continue in our reading, picking up at Genesis chapter 33. But before we do that, I'd like to go through a couple of announcements before being on the way with the class. First and foremost, got the High Holy Days counter up. Before I go over that, once again, we are in search of a new classroom or building to rent out to hold our class. And we're in talks with somebody, so hopefully we'll have a spot in the upcoming weeks. But still the same. If you have any people you know or any outlets that might be a service for us to check out, please get in contact with us. You know, a room that's at least for Sabbath class, maybe possibly one other day during the week that holds up to, let's say, at least 30 people. That's what we're in the hunt for at the moment. So any help you can give would be highly appreciated. I'm not even sharing my screen. So Slovakia, let me. So that's with the class. Once again, we're located in Wilmington, Delaware. So anywhere in the Wilmington area, possibly Newcastle, you know, that's what we're in search for. High Holy Days. 1 second while I share my screen. The High Holy Days. We obviously we just finished off the Feast of Tabernacles. It's a 7-day feast where we're commanded dwell in booths. I hope everybody's feast day, feast week, I hope it was good. I hope you was able to get around other like-minded individuals and just feed off each other's spirits. It's always uplifting to get around like-minded people that believe in the same thing and are here serving the Most High Yahweh in truth and sincerity the way he meant for us to do, unlike how we used to do in the Christian church, you know, Islam, or, you know, whatever we was into in the world. Right. So that was Feast of Tabernacles. Then we ended. We don't have another feast day coming up until December 26th, the Feast of Hanukkah. Some camps keep it a couple days before. Some got a whole totally different date. But we, as Hebrew Chosen Elect, will be keeping it in line with the Masha Yashala of the date December 26th. It's also a 7-day feast, but the main date being December the 26th would be the first day of that. And it's Hanukkah, the Feast of Dedication. If you're not in the knowledge or know, you're coming out of Christianity or in the world or still in Christianity or Islam, whatever you're at in life, the Feast of Dedication was kept by Yahushua Mashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus the Christ, as opposed to Christmas, which the world keeps supposedly in remembrance of Jesus the Christ. Well, Yahushua, which is his real name, kept the Feast of Dedication. So that's the feast that's coming up, the Feast of Dedication, also known as the Feast of Hanukkah, which is, you know, that's the Hebrew word for dedication. So that's why you might hear, you know, Feast of Hanukkah or Feast of Dedication. Hanukkah means dedication, but in Hebrew. After that, we won't have another feast day until March 14th, which will be the Feast of Purim. So Feast of Hanukkah coming up December 26th. If you're in the camp or in the area, or you watch class, or you see the one of our videos coming up and you're coming into this thing and you're coming out of the world, we hope to see you at our Feast of Hanukkah, December 26th. And then the next new moon, Salakia, I always forget the new moons. The next new moon, November 3rd. If you're not in the know and you're new to this thing, we also believe in keeping the new moons. You can feast, you can have, you know, it's not a regular day. You can have a feast with your congregation or other Israelites, or, you know, just do something with your family at home. but it's a feast day. You know, throw some good food on the grill or the oven. You know, don't keep it like any regular day. It's a high holy day, right? The new moons. Next one coming up will be observing November 3rd. So that's that for high holy days and new moons. Also, before we start class, I want to remind everybody of the coat drive we have coming up. The coat drive, this is the 6th annual Give It All You Got coat drive. So it's annual. We do it yearly. For the past 5 years, this is the 6th. We always do it around the Feast of Hanukkah, around the beginning of quote unquote winter, which is usually December 21st. That's when we usually do the coat drive. I say that because we don't have a set written date as of right now, but it will be around that time, and we'll put that out as soon as we set it up. Location is usually around the area of, it's usually not around there, it's usually at the parking lot at 24th and Market Street here in Wilmington, Delaware. It probably will be there again, but it's not set in writing as of yet, and we're going to put that out there as soon as it is. For this coat drive, up to and at the coat drive, we accept donations of new or used in good condition coats or other items that pertain to staying warm in the winter. Your thermals, winter hats, gloves, hoodies, jackets, anything that will help somebody stay warm in the winter, and you're trying to get rid of it, or you know that's what you can afford if it's new. We're accepting all these items. So if you can't afford to bring a coat, but you got a couple dollars in the bank and you can afford to buy a couple pair of gloves, buy a couple pair of gloves and donate the gloves, right? We accept all these items. You know, it's mainly coats, but all these items, anything to stay, even blankets. I'm forgetting blankets. If you got some we just did Feast of Tabernacles and I forgot to get me a sleeping bag. I know for next time I better get one. If you got those, there's a lot of our people that's out here sleeping in the streets. They could use a good sleeping bag. We accept that as well. So any items up until the date, up to and at the date, will be accepting those items. If you can't, if say you're not in the area or you prefer to give money, we accept cash donations. We accept physical cash. If you come to class or you're able to come and meet up with us in the area of Wilmington, we accept physical cash. Or, you know, nowadays we got technology that makes us able to send money just like that without seeing anybody, and that we accept those donations through Cash App. The cash tag for the donations for the coat drive specifically, because this is separate from our Camp Arms Cash App. It's on the screen, and it's cash tag BDANIE01. That's not 01, that's a 01. And what's it called? Cash Market Hebrew Chosen Elect Coat Drive. Like on the little below the name where you're sending this option for what it's for. Earmark it, that's the word. Earmark it, Hebrew Chosen Elect Coat Drive. So that's where you can send any cash donations if you can't physically donate in person. I believe that's it on that announcement. So yeah, look out for that coming up. Now let me go back. Here. Remove that. Once again, Shabbat Shalom. This is our Sabbath reading. We're going to be starting off at the book of Genesis, chapter 33, and reading forward from there. Before we get started, I'm going to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh by Hashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai. And if you're not aware of the Hebrew, what I just said is I gave blessings and honor to the Most High God, whose name is Yahweh. in the name of his son, who the world calls Jesus the Christ, Yahushua Hamashiach in the Hebrew. So all praise, glory, honor due to Yahweh B'Shem Mashiach Yahushua. So I think I've covered everything, and we can get started. So get out your notepads, take notes if you can, and get your Bible ready and turn to the page. Well, Salakia, the chapter 33 of the book of Genesis. And 1 second is coming up. Actually, so Salakia, let's backtrack. Genesis 32:24. When you got it, you can read that out. We're just gonna coast this back, little catch up, coast us into the where we're picking up at. Genesis chapter 32, verse 24.
Okay. Genesis chapter 32, verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day.
And this is him coming back to his home, and he's about to meet up with Esau, and he sent some gifts ahead of him, and he's calling it a night. He's about to lay down for sleep, and he's wrestling with a man until the breaking of day. Go ahead.
And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed.
It has prevailed. So this is where Jacob gets his name changed to Israel, which means what?
Power with God.
Thank you. Prince of the power. For as a prince has thou power with God. Also, when you look it up, it means God prevails. So Yasha Allah, a prince of the power. It's lucky. So what's it mean? Brain fart for a minute. It means what?
Power.
How you say it in Hebrew?
Yasha Allah.
The what?
Yasha Allah.
Yasha Allah. So that means a prince of the power. Meaning, what means power?
Allah.
Allah. So in the Muslim community and in the Quran, they say his name is Allah. But the Quran also talks about reading the Torah, the Hebrew scriptures, and the prophets, which lets us know his name is Yahweh. And we know that Allah in his name because Yasha Allah means prince of the power. Allah means power. So when they say Allah, they're doing the same thing that the Christian church does with God. Their book says Allah, and they're like, that's his name. And you ask any Christian, what's God's name? What are they going to say? God. It's God. God's his name. So just a little side note. So Allah, when they, you're dealing with a Muslim, whatever, and they're like, his name's Allah. That's not his name. That's a title. That's just the same as God. Allah in Hebrew means power. So even in the Bible, sometimes he'll be referred to as Allah in the Hebrew. So that's nothing new, but it being his name, that's new, which is false. His name is Yahweh. The Hebrew scriptures that came before the Quran, which didn't come about till the 600s AD, long time ago, but long after the Hebrew scriptures. So that was a side note. We can pick back up. Also, think about, Slagi, we're at verse 29. Before we pick it back up, think about the symbolism of that, though. He got this name because he wrestled with the angel and he prevailed. What would that represent? What would that represent about you in the walk, being the son or daughter of the Most High? What would that represent? Anybody? Endurance part of it, but I'm looking for something specific. Let's go to Romans 7. Book of Romans, chapter 7. Verse 23.
Romans chapter 7, verse 23.
Hold on. Let me get there right quick. I need to get actual mouse. My fingers are slow on the pad. Oh. All right, go ahead. Well, go ahead, start 22.
22. For I delight in the law.
21.
21. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me.
Mm-hmm.
For I delight in the law.
To do good, evil is always present with me. Right? Go ahead.
For I delight in the law of God after the inward man.
Mm-hmm.
But I see another law in my members, warning against the law of my mind and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members.
Go ahead.
O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death?
So there's always this war in your mind, warring against good, doing good, and trying to bring you into evil. And we know that that's the works of who?
That's the time.
That's the time. It's like the cartoons or commercials you see, the angel on the right, the devil on the left. That's always there. That's symbolic. It's cartoons, but in real life, it's really there. It's in your flesh. It's in your members. Your flesh is always there working for Satan to battle against your mind, which is willing to do the will of the Most High. There's always that war inside of your vessel, inside of your mind and your body. From there, go to 2nd Ezra. 7. It's about 56.
2nd Ezra 56.
7. Chapter 7.
2nd Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Look right here. 2nd Ezra chapter 2, right?
2nd Ezra chapter 7. 2nd Ezra.
Oh.
You're in regular Ezra. He got it. He can read it, though, if you don't got your pocket for handy.
I do.
You got it?
2nd Ezra.
Oh, okay.
Chapter 7.
Yeah, but you can go ahead and read it. You can go to Matthew chapter 4.
Verse
56. Read nice and vocalize it nice and loud.
Ezra chapter 7, verse 56. For while we lived in a committed impunity, we considered not that we should begin to suffer for it after death.
Yep.
Then answered me, and said,
so this is the angel answering Ezra. Go ahead.
This is the condition of the battle.
So there's a battle. Battle of what? We just read it. We just read what battle is going on. The law of sin and the law of the Most High in your body, in your mind. God? Go ahead.
Which man that is born upon the earth shall fight.
That means every man born upon the earth shall fight that battle. Go ahead.
That if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said.
Yep.
But if he gets the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say.
So get the victory like Jacob got the victory over the angel. Jacob fought the angel and prevailed. Go ahead.
For this, the life wherefore Moses spake unto the people while he lived, saying, choose thee life, that thou mayest live.
So, and who did he say that to?
The people of Israel while they're
He said that to Israel. So what we're seeing is who's going to prevail against the angel? Who's going to prevail and win that battle and choose life and live and get all the blessings and the covenants and the earth?
us.
Israel. These other nations, they got that same battle, but will they prevail? No, they won't prevail. And you know they won't prevail because it says after Israel's reestablished and the kingdom's back on earth, then they will come and seek to learn the ways of the Most High. So what's that mean? It means they didn't prevail, or they wouldn't have to come to us to learn the Most High's ways. One more, let's get that Matthew 4, just to show that there's always that angel, because we know there's right-hand angels and left-hand angels. Still, nonetheless, they're angels. And here's the main angel you're going to fight every day. Matthew chapter 4, and I'll tell you where I'm going to start in when I get there. He's going to read it this way. You can go ahead and start with verse 1, actually.
Matthew chapter 4, verse 1. Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil.
To be what?
To be tempted of the devil.
And we can stop right there because we all know the story, or if you don't, just read now. But yeah, even Yahushua, just like all men born on earth, was tempted of the devil. Go ahead and keep reading the 4. We'll keep reading.
Verse 2. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward a hungered.
Mm-hmm.
And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command these stones be made bread.
Mm-hmm.
But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone.
So the devil is always there to tempt you, because no man is led away except through his own lust. That's what it says in James. The devil is always there to tempt you, but Yahushua said, what did he say again?
Man shall not live
Hold on, go back a little bit.
But he answered and said, it is written.
It is what?
It is written.
Go ahead.
Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God.
So Jacob wrestling with the angel, that's what it would represent. We are the ones that will prevail. We're the ones that have power, are princes that have power with the Most High. But why I went down to verse 4, because it's showing us our weapon. It's showing us our main weapon. And who can tell me what that is?
The word.
The word. So that's why it's important that you're never to stop studying. You read the Bible and you feel like you got it, you got to start again. You're never to stop. You have to be living, embodying, and eating this word from now until the end. That's what part of that endurance is. I've read it 20 times already. Read it again. Read it again and read it again and read it again. To the point where you don't have to think to give answer. Yahushua, he didn't have to think to give answer. Thou shalt not live off bread alone. It was already there. And think about being a camp. The scoffers come up and they try to present questions to make you stumble. They're trying to, they're ministers of the devil to really, they're there to try and bring you back into the world. Oh, look at this dude. He's standing here with them. Y'all don't all believe it. Y'all, let me convince you that these cats is lying to you. So they'll present questions to try to stumble you up and make it seem like, oh, damn, that's right. Maybe God is here for everybody. Maybe it don't matter who the Israelites are. Maybe this or that. Maybe it doesn't matter if we do what God said. Maybe God doesn't care. Maybe he ended the law. All these maybes they want to present in your mind that turn into what? Well, if you believe them, you lost that battle with the angel. And you didn't walk in the steps of your forefather, Israel. That's what it's about. It's not just about knowing your nationality. After that, it comes with beating the devil, prevailing against the angel. That's how you become Israel, Yasharallah. That's why you see cats will come in and then they go. They come in, they believe, they fall back into the world. Or they, you know that they're who they are, and you try to teach them and they just won't hear. Because they don't have what it takes to prevail against that angel. So everybody got that?
God.
All right, we can go back. Verse 29, Genesis chapter 32.
It's chapter 32 and what verse?
29.
29. Genesis 32, verse 29. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou doest ask after my name? And he blessed him there.
And why do you not want to give up his name? I'll say because it doesn't matter his name. The angel also knows that people will take their names and turn it into worshiping them. He's not here to get, angels ain't here to get glory for themselves. So he's like, what does it matter? Because it don't matter. Yahweh's name matters. Similar to Yahweh, he always came and said, there's none good but one. Don't worship me, worship the Father. That's always been the message from any messenger. It's about Yahweh. It's not about our glory. Go ahead.
And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved.
And what's that mean? He's seen God face to face.
He's seen his messenger.
Right. Because no man has seen the Father or heard his voice. But by seeing his messenger, you see him. Right. Go ahead.
And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel, not of the sinew, which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank.
So of all the things that the small hats won't copy, this is one thing they do. This is one thing they do. They don't eat of that part of the meat of the animals.
What is that part of the meat?
I have to double check. I don't. Does anybody know exactly? I know it's one of the sinews. You don't got to do it right now. We can do it later. Of the hollow of the thigh. So somewhere near the thigh. Either way, when they eat animals, they don't eat that certain part because of this. They won't do anything else, but they'll do that. You know, they won't not pray against the wall, but they'll do that. Right? But this is why. This is why. They'll do anything that they can use as symbolically to show an outward appearance for you to think that they're the ones. That's why you remember they got the y'all might not know, but I know y'all know, but they wear the like little box on the little box on their head on the headband.
I see it.
Yeah, or they'll have something wrapped around their arms. That's because of where the Torah says write it on you and put it on your forehead or your arm or something. We'll get to that when we get up to the law. But they take that and they're like, oh, well, we're going to do that. We're going to physically write a little small Bible, put on a headband, and put it. Then go pray to a brick. Well, damn, it says inside of there not to bow to an image, but you're going and bowing to a wall and sticking little prayers inside the wall. Make it make sense. So they'll do things like that. And this is one of them. They won't eat that certain part of the meat. One of the sinews on the meat. We'll have to, in the future, look up exactly what it is because I'm not sure. But I know that's a custom they have. Just like the wearing the box on the forehead and all the, all the other things that aren't, always in tune with the word. So that was chapter 32. Okay, we can pick back up. It really represents the cube of Saturn. Khan Yakinan said about that box on the forehead. It really represents the cube of Saturn, and I can see that. Everything they do is low key, is something idolatrous. Yeah, so Yakinan just put on there that little box. It really represents the cube of Saturn. And that would make sense because we know that they're major idolaters. They just put on a show. Why? To bewitch the true elect. So, good comment, Wada. Back. So let's start. Now let's start 33.
Genesis chapter 33, verse 1. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times. Until he came near to his brother.
And look, I want to point out, even within the family structure, there's order. There's rank and file. If you want to call favorites, people say, "Oh, it's wrong to have it's wrong to have rank. It's wrong." No, it's not nothing new. It's not something evil, or it would be in the word addressed as being evil. But just look at the way he set it up. He divided the children of Leah, Rachel, and the handmaids. First, he put the children of who? The handmaids. That would mean if Esau and them was coming to do slaughter or something off, they would suffer first. They're in the foremost. Then Leah, watch this. Leah and her children after. That's second. Oh, does that mean the favorite children are Rachel's? It could. Who's his favorite rib?
Rachel.
And Rachel and Joseph last. So rank, favorites, it's not wicked. You see it here. Or it could be like, or he could have set it up like that for the same purpose he did the military rank and file, where the Levites would be in the middle. But I don't think it's that, because then he would have put some handmaids first and some handmaids in the back. Like in case somebody got attacked in the rear, he would split up that way. So we're seeing the rank and file of basically favorites. He's got the handmaids first, Leah and her children, and Rachel and Joseph in the most. Right? So you see these things. People hate on having rank and order and things like that, but it's all through the Bible. It's all through the Bible. So it's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, so verse 3.
Oh, verse 4.
We'll read 3 again real quick.
Okay. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother.
And then at the same time, he's still putting himself first, though. He's ready to sacrifice himself for the rest. Go ahead.
And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him. And they wept. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children and said, who are those with thee? And he said, the children which God have graciously given thy servant. Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves, and Leah also with her children came near and bowed themselves. And after
real quick, and then Yak and I added about that cube of Saturn, also the Kaaba stone. So that makes sense. The little box they were on their head and the Kaaba stone, they look very similar. And it's because they represent the cube of Saturn. Okay, go ahead, keep reading.
And after came Joseph near and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, what meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, these are too fine grace in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have.
So why is he calling him my Lord? Yeah, how is his Lord?
This is a surname.
He's seasoning his words with salt. He's giving them smooth words. He's buttering them up.
Okay.
What's it say? Smooth words turn away much wrath. That's all. Go ahead.
And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself. And Jacob said, nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God.
See, he's really buttering. He's buttering him up real good. Right? Go ahead.
And thou was pleased with me.
So I want to go there. So a big talking point on scoffers about New Testament concepts of Esau being saved now, blah blah, Edom's being saved. They'll go to what dialogue? They'll go to Paul and Agrippa.
Oh yeah.
They'll go to Paul and Agrippa. I'm just going to show, so we're going to read it. But Paul wasn't doing nothing but the same thing that Jacob was doing with Esau way back then. Buttering him up. Because we know that Yahweh was Jacob's Lord. We know that seeing Esau's face isn't seeing the face of God. But he said these things to bring to ensure peace, right? It's the same thing. So now we're going to go to this dialogue of Paul and Agrippa and just see he's doing the same thing. It's Acts 26, 1-3, then drop to 24.
Acts 26, verse 1.
Hold on real quick. Let everybody get it. I'm trying. Y'all can share something. I'm trying to see what he's sharing with me. 5 and 24. Hold on. That's me. People got me more people on this field. Kind. That scripture would probably go with a later stuff I got coming up. So I'm gonna keep that in mind. Okay, go ahead if you're there.
Acts 26, verse 1. And Agrippa said unto Paul, thou art permitted to speak for thyself. Then Paul.
Why does he have to speak for himself?
Because they accuse him.
Right. He could be in danger. Same way Jacob knew that, okay, Esau coming with 400 men. We could be in danger. So instead of making things pop off, I'm going to use wisdom. I'm going to use, pleasant speech to turn away wrath. Go ahead.
Then Paul stretched forth the hand and answered for himself. I think myself happy, King Agrippa, because I shall answer for myself this day before thee, touching all the things whereof I am accused of the Jews, especially because I know thee to be expert in all customs and questions which are among the Jews. Wherefore I beseech thee to hear me patiently.
So he's letting it be known, and I don't know if everybody here online knows it, but the Edomites, the elite, they were learning the Bible. They were learning the laws. They were learning the scriptures to an extent. They were being taught. Remember, there were wicked Israelites in those days, even before Agrippa, the Herods, and came to be. So they were learning certain things. So he knows that I can play on the things you know, and I can sway you one way or the other by the fact I know that you know what I believe in, and you've gone to school for these things, right? I believe if it wasn't his mother, but his father's mother, there was Israelite mothers in these Herodic lines. They were marrying our women. Y'all know that? So they were being raised up and learning scriptures. Don't get it twisted. So now he can use that though to play on his mind and sway him one way or the other. Right? Now drop to verse 24.
Verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 24. And as he spake for himself, Festus said with a loud voice, Paul, thou art besides thyself. Much learning doeth make thee mad. But he said, I am not mad. Most noble Festus.
Festus. Okay.
But speak forth the words of truth and soberness. For the king knoweth of these things, before whom also I speak freely. For I am persuaded that none of these things are hidden from him. For this thing was not done in a corner. King Agrippa, believest thou the prophets?
Because he had been taught through school the scriptures, the prophets, who prophesied of who? Yahushua. Go ahead.
I know that thou believest. Then Agrippa said unto Paul,
and real quick, all them getting in these schools and being taught and commingling with the Jews, that wasn't by invitation, that was by force. That was by the Most High turning his back on Israel. So none of this ever involves them being saved or being chosen for this knowledge. They came into the land with their sword and they found wicked Jews and Israelites to trade sides, and they would open these schools to them and teach them these things. What they could never do, though, is get the understanding wisdom that comes from the Most High. So, like I said before, he's playing on that. Go ahead.
Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian. And Paul said, I would to God that not only thou, but also all that hear me this day were both almost and altogether such as I am, except these bonds.
He said what?
Except these bonds.
So it's dealing with I'm in bonds. I'm in bonds. And I'm trying to do what? Talk you into my freedom. Go ahead.
And when he had thus spoken, the king rose up, and the governor, and Bernice, and they that sat with them. And when they were gone aside, they talked between themselves, saying, this man doeth nothing worthy of death or of bonds. Then said Agrippa unto Festus, this man might have been set at liberty if he had not appealed unto Caesar.
And it worked. His speech seasoned with salt, it worked. He would have been set free, except for he had appealed to Caesar. So now the only reason they're keeping him in bonds is just due to rank and file. So it worked. And y'all definitely, you younger ones, y'all need to remember this. Because these are argument points that adults will even come to children with. Like, we ain't around, they be like, did they tell you about the story of when Paul told Agrippa he almost convinced me? They'll bring that to you. While smarter heads ain't around to be like, oh. They'll get in your mind. So y'all got to know these things. You got to understand these things. So that's all that was happening here. That's all that was happening here. And it's just when you actually read, unlike Christians do, it's kind of speaks for itself, but still the same. These things need to be pointed out. The fact that you can actually go back to other instances in history of things being said and people dealing with other people in ways that, damn, that's crazy. Why is Jacob dealing with Esau this way when, Esau hates his guts and blah, blah, blah? Because he uses wisdom.
God.
He has faith and uses wisdom. And you got to remember these things. A soft answer turns away much wrath. You don't always got to meet somebody's energy. You don't always got to prove yourself to be as tough or as gangster or as much a warrior as somebody else. You don't always have to go that route. You can use wisdom. So let's go back. Con? You get it? No. You look lost. Verse 11.
Chapter
30, back to 33. Go ahead. Yeah, it's on you.
Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God have dealt richly with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, my Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. If men should, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure, until I come unto my Lord, unto Seir. Seir.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And Esau said, let me now leave with thee some of the flock that are with me. And he said, what needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built him a house and made booths for his cattle. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob came to Shalom, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. When he came forth Pedarium and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of the field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor.
So he placed his tent where he could go into the city, get stuff he needed, but he wasn't dwelling amongst the people of the city. Remember, this is the land of Canaan. One next to Esau, probably the most filthiest people ever on earth.
Who's Canaan now?
We're not dealing with that right now, because it's Africans, but not all Africans. So, but that's another thing. Go ahead.
Shishem's father for 100 pieces of money.
So he bought land for 100 pieces of money. Also, through the scriptures, you're going to notice that we buy things. We don't just take, even from the heathen. We give money up. That way, it's ours and nobody can dispute it. Verse 20.
And he erected there an altar, and he called it Elohi Israel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Chapter 34, verse 1. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor,
the daughter went out to see the daughters of the land. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her.
So this Canaanite that saw and took her. So we're gonna deal with this. What happened right here?
Some people say
rape, right? Or grape.
Rape.
Some people do. Was you about to say that though?
Yeah.
Yeah, some people would say grape. We're gonna deal with that briefly, but she was defiled. Before we deal with her defiling, we're first going to deal with Dinah, though. And what was Dinah's first mistake? Because it said Dinah went out to see the daughters of the land. What's the saying go? Curiosity killed the cat? Yeah, she's being curious. So her first mistake, I want to go to the works of Philo just to show one of her main mistakes. And what Philo is going to show, what we're going to see in Philo is a better glimpse of, the really, to put it frank, the place of a woman in quote unquote biblical times, in the time of Christ. How the scriptures, how the Most High meant for the household to be, the position of men, what they could do, their position in society, and women, their position in society and in the house. And what we're going to see is it was totally different from what you see today in the world. Because we know that the heathens, nations, all of them, and then chiefly Esau today, they have always been against the Most High's ways because they wanted the world. They want the world like this that we live in. That was the desire of the heathen. We're in worse of Philo, the special laws. 3. There's 3 sections right, kind. Right. Anyway, Slagia. The special laws 3. And for anybody that doesn't have it, don't worry, I'm pull it up. So in this section, it talks about women not behaving immodestly, and it's so Special Laws 3, section 31, which is XX1, and I guess that's Greek or whatever. Anyway, section 31, verse 169 and down. So we're going to read in the works of Philo about the place of women and men, how the Most High meant for these things to be. Go ahead.
Marketplaces, council chambers, courts of justice, large companies, assemblies of numerous crowds.
Yeah.
A life in the open air full of arguments.
This is talking about any cities, basically your downtown. Any city, you got all these things, right? Go ahead.
Arguments and actions relating to war and peace are suited to men.
See, this is for men. The Most High made things. The order was for all this. Like we in and out. Women downtown going out, blah blah. Everything's downtown, and everybody doing what they want. These places were meant for men. Go ahead.
But taking care of the house and remaining at home are the proper duties of women.
So the house and home are the duties of women. Does that mean women should never be in marketplaces, courts of justice, large companies? No. They should be there though with who? A man. You might need a woman to be in the court of justice. She might be accused of not being a virgin. You gotta take her and prove, oh yeah, she was. Look, we got her. We got her cloth. Yeah, the cloth though with the blood on it, whatever. Or you know, might be getting stuff for the house. You know, everything. Put it modern day grocery store. You know, it's probably not convenient for a man just go grocery shopping alone. You know, the woman, she's at home cooking, so she knows what the house needs. So it's not that women aren't to be in these areas, but it's about who's supposed to be there and what they're for. Who's supposed to be doing the business of the marketplace. You know, who's supposed to be in the council chambers, and doing the councils? Men. Courts of justice. Who's supposed to be the judges? Men.
Lucky, could I just add something? That's also wisdom. It makes sense because them places could be rough with a lot of male aggression.
Right.
So our women were supposed to be delicate and fragile. So they're not supposed to be, you know, it's just not a place for them. You know what I'm saying? So that just makes sense, and that's just using wisdom.
And he even said it. He said, life in the open air full of arguments and actions relating to war and peace. Yeah, kind of. So keep reading. You stopped at duties of women.
The virgins having their apartments in the center of the house, within the innermost doors.
Meaning the virgins, they was supposed to be protected from the wiles of the world to the point their dwellings would be in the center of the house. So it wouldn't be no sneaking out the windows when they turn 16 and they smiling at a boy at school and he's smiling at them. It wouldn't be that. Because their rooms wasn't at the outskirts of their house. Go ahead.
And the full-grown women not going beyond the vestibule and outer courts. For are two kinds of states.
There are two kinds of states. Now he's going to make a correlation of states. Like we live in the state of Delaware, or a city might be considered a state in some places. Go ahead.
The greater and the smaller, and the larger ones are called really cities.
So cities, whereas today we call bigger than city, the state, that's the larger one. Go ahead.
But the smaller ones are called houses.
So a house is operated like a state. Same way you protect the state from outside intruders, outside influences, same with a house. Right. Go ahead.
And the superintendence and management of these is allotted to the two sexes separately.
Mm-hmm.
The men having the government of the greater,
Yep.
which the government is called a polity,
Mm-hmm.
and the women that of the smaller, which is called economy.
Oh, economy. Let me get that. But we're seeing that order again though. Remember, Philo was the same. He was the same time frame as Yahushua, and Paul. And Paul said that he wrote about the order. Yahushua, man, woman. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing here real quick. Let me get this definition. Oh, economy we just read about. It means the management of a household's resources, a discretionary deviation from the law in the economic system of a country or area. So the woman was the management of household resources. Remember, who would be under the women? The children. Who would she teach? The children. But where would she get the teaching from? Where would she get that direction from? The man. And where do we get it from? Yahushua and the Most High. Exactly. Household management, real quick, let me read this. The practice of managing a household's economic and moral resources to maintain order. See that? The word comes from the ancient Greek word oikos, meaning house, and nemein, meaning to manage. So this was saying the same thing as we read in the Bible. This is how it's supposed to be. So go ahead and pick back up there, verse 171. But we see that Dinah was out of place. She wasn't supposed to be out there in the city or wherever checking out how the daughters of the land move. The daughters of the land move the way the heathens move. And what she was doing was walking away from her protection. But go ahead, keep going.
Therefore, let no woman busy herself about those things which are beyond the province of economy.
Mm-hmm. Don't think, meaning if you're thinking about, there got to be more in life. I want to be a lawyer. I want to just stop. Rethink yourself. It's letting you know, just stop. Don't go beyond the province of economy. Go ahead.
But let her cultivate solitude and not be seen to be going about like a woman who walks the streets in the sight of other men.
Read that again.
And not be seen to be going about like a woman who walks the streets in the sight of other men. Except when it is necessary for her to go to the temple.
So Dinah wasn't going to the temple. She wanted to see the daughters of the land. She was walking about streets in the sight of men. That's her first mistake. Go ahead. Let's keep going, though.
If she has any proper regard for herself, and even then, let her not go at noon when the market is full.
So that's even when it's most busy, ain't even the proper time to go to the temple. Go ahead.
But after the greater part of the people have returned home, like a well-born woman, a real true citizen.
Real and true citizen. Hold on. Let me scroll. So people can see it online.
So it say go early in the morning.
Yeah. Or afternoon when it's about most people done went home. Well, I agree. Early. I agree.
Everybody sleep.
I agree.
Early in the morning before noon. It's
right.
Before noon.
Right. Con. It did say that. Yeah. And it's not because women don't matter. It's for protection. Go ahead.
A real and true citizen performing her vows and her sacrifices in tranquility, so as to avert evils and to receive blessings. But when men are abusing one another.
Now this is going on to more topics of why not to, and I kept this in there. I want to go over that too. But before we keep going, her first problem was what we just read about. She didn't belong there. She didn't belong there, and she was walking amongst the city, not even going to the temple, and she was walking amongst a city of wicked men and women. Go ahead. So, but more into this.
But when men are abusing one another or fighting, for women to venture to run out under pretense of assisting or defending them is a blamable action and one of no slight shamelessness.
What he's going into now, everybody, we know the law of if a woman sees her man fighting and goes and tries to save him and grabs the genitalia, he's kind of going into that. He's going to go even a little bit more in depth. But this is what he's going into now. It's why is it so bad? Because it's a work of immodesty. But
since even in the time of war and of military expedition and the dangers of their whole native land, the law does not choose that they should be enrolled as its defenders.
Because men go in the army. Go ahead.
Looking at what is becoming, which is things desirable to
looking at what is
preserve,
becoming, meaning what's the proper for a woman. The law looks into that, which it thinks desirable. Go ahead.
Which it thinks desirable to preserve unchangeable at all times and in all places, thinking that this very thing is of itself better than victory or than freedom or than any kind of success and property.
So he's saying the law stipulates this, that it's even if it means you got a better chance of defending the nation or whatever, women still do not change their roles in society to become warriors, to put on basically the quote unquote garments of men. And we read that all through the law and the Bible. Go ahead.
Moreover, if any woman hearing that her husband is being assaulted, being out of her affection for him, carried away by love for her husband, should yield to the feeling which overpower her and rush to aid him. Still, let her not be so audacious as to behave like a man, outrunning the nature of a woman. But even while aiding him, let her continue a woman.
So women should always continue what they are, women. Can always, no matter what the circumstance. Go ahead.
For it would be a very terrible thing if a woman, being desirous to deliver her husband from an insult, should expose herself to insult by exhibiting human life as full of shamelessness and liable to great reproaches for her incurable boldness.
Go ahead.
For shall a woman utter abuse in the marketplace and give vent to unlawful language?
See, and this should be a shame, even for women to speak the way men do. Should be a shame. Obviously, we did a whole 180 from this, right? Everything we just read about, we don't see none of this. Everything's the opposite. But even the way you speak, it matters as a woman. Go ahead.
And if another man uses foul language, will not she stop her ears and run away? But as it is now, some women are advanced to such a pitch of shamelessness as not only though they are women to give vent to intemperate language and abuse among a crowd of men, but even to strike men and insult them with hands.
Practice
Rather in works of the loom and spinning than in blows and assaults.
So the backward society we have today, he's letting us know it was already started 2,000 years ago. That's what it's saying. A woman striking a man with hands practiced in the loom. Meaning women are so bold that they'll strike a man even though that man can whoop her ass. That's like a plague in our houses these days. Go ahead. But this is what Dinah would have been learning by going out there to see the women of the land. That's why I kept this part of her first mistake. She was out of place somewhere she shouldn't be. Go ahead.
Like competitors in the pancratium or wrestlers and other things, indeed may be tolerable. And what any one might easily bear, but that is a shocking thing if a woman were to proceed to such a degree of boldness as to seize hold of the genitals of one of the men quarreling.
So it said it's a shocking thing to see that that degree of boldness. Now we see that on TV, but it ain't got nothing to do with quarreling or fighting. It's got to do with lasciviousness and just putting all this sexual stuff out there on TV, videos, anywhere freely. There's no shame anymore. Go ahead.
For let not such a woman be let go on the ground that she appears to have done this action in order to assist her own husband, but let her be impeached and suffer the punishment due to her excessive audacity, so that she should ever be inclined to commit the same offense again, she may not have an opportunity of doing so. And other women also who might be inclined to be precipitate may be taught by fear to be moderate and to restrain themselves.
So that's why we just on this downward slope of immodesty with our women and our people, because we're not being punished for what we do. So because there's no punishment, that's why it goes on and on. Go ahead.
And let the punishment be the cutting.
Like there would be a lot of missing hands today if the Most High was to establish, come down and if that's the judgment, and when he comes back, like it's too late to repent, there's going to be a lot of hands being cut off and a whole lot of other things. Go ahead.
And let the punishment of the cutting off of hands, which has touched that in ought not to have touched. And it is fitting to praise those who have been the judges and managers of the gymnastic games, who have kept women from the spectacle in order that they might not be thrown among naked men and so mar the approved carnage of their modesty.
And today we don't even have that. Women can fight men, men can fight women. WWF, they really get down. It's almost sexual in the WWF. In fact, not almost, it is. It is. And they're even letting the Olympics, they'll let men fight with women. Wasn't supposed to be that way. Go ahead.
Cornish of their modesty, neglecting the ordinances of nature, which she has appointed for each section of our race. For neither is it right for men to mix with women when they have laid aside their garments, but each of the sexes ought to avoid the sight of the other.
So now we know it's you ain't supposed to be in strip clubs, even without the idolatrous aspect, because the pole has something to do with idolatry. But even if you take the pole out of there, it's not supposed to be that way. Go ahead.
The other, when they are naked, in accordance with the
promptings of
nature. Well, then, of those things of which we are to abstain from the sight, are not the hands much more to be blamed for the touch? For the eyes being wholly at freedom, nevertheless, often constrained so as to see things which they do not wish to see. But the hands are ranked among those parts which are completely under subjection and obey our commands and are subservient to us.
All right. I believe you can drop that. So that was her first mistake. Her second mistake, not being aware of the dangers that await. First scripture is Sirach 9:13. So her first mistake was she was out of place, wasn't supposed to be doing what she was doing. She wasn't even supposed to be there without the protection of father or brothers or whoever's next in line. Then secondly, she wasn't aware. She wasn't aware of the dangers that await. They can overtake her where she's at. You got it? 9:13. Go ahead.
Keep thee far from the man that have power to kill.
Mm-hmm.
So shalt thou not doubt the fear of death. And if thou come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away thy life.
Mm-hmm.
Presently.
Okay.
Remember
here, this is the point here. Go ahead.
Remember that thou goest in the midst of snares, and that thou walkest upon the battlements of the city.
Women have a problem with this in general. It's that pride. They think, oh, I'm safe just like the men. I can go wherever I want. Not remembering that once you step out that door, ain't nothing but snares. That's traps. You don't know who looking at you. And this might decide, you know what, I like Fleece Johnson said, I like you, I want you. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. The choice is yours. That's how it goes. Nobody's coming out in the streets with a sign that says rapist, robber, drug dealer, idolater. The pastor don't have a sign that says, I'm gonna drag you to behind me to death. So they easily capture what? Women. They the main rapists. Because they're not raping them physically, but they're tricking them and they're taking from them. So she wasn't aware of the dangers that await, and she fall into a snare. Exactly what happens to our women today. And it was happening to the first woman of Israel then. Proverbs 22:3.
Proverbs 22, verse 3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself.
Yep.
But the simple pass on and are punished.
You see that? So that was her second mistake. She wasn't aware, and she's simple. Unaware and simple-minded.
So,
Go ahead. Question?
is that like ignore red flags?
Yeah, and that's y'all today. Still today. That's why it's so important to have a man of understanding and wisdom. That's why it's important to stop jumping in bed with somebody just because they're tall and handsome and they're nice to you. Because a demon ain't gonna. I'm not gonna let you know that I'm a whole demon. I'm gonna be nice to you. I gotta put on a cover so I can trick you. But women, they think they don't need no man. And I'm talking about outside of their man. What do you hear mostly with regards to single women? As who's their head? Jesus or God. It ain't never my uncle. It ain't my dad.
Nope.
It ain't the closest Israelite walking in the laws of God. It ain't the closest man I know walking in the laws of God that ain't trying to sleep with me. It ain't never that. And that's the problem. That's how you see still today that Dinah spirit is still out here in our women.
Christianity mindset.
Christianity mindset.
It's like spiritualism.
Mm-hmm.
You got a spiritual head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still out there.
You need a physical head as well.
Mm-hmm. Need a physical head as well. That's right. So that was her two mistakes, and we see what it got her. So now we can go back. Verse 3.
Verse 3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on.
We're Genesis 33, verse 3.
Genesis 33, verse 3. And he passed over before them.
Where you at? Salaki 34. We already read 33. My fault. Verse 3 though.
Genesis 34, verse 3. And his soul clave unto Dinah, and the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel.
Mm-hmm.
And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which they ought not to be done.
So that's now we're gonna do. So now we're gonna deal with the defiling. It was something that ought not to be done that defiled Dinah, Jacob's daughter. So what the first thing ought not be done, we'll go to Genesis 24, verse 1 to 4. Just to show that it's not necessarily that she was great, because the text doesn't say that. But there is a lot of people, like Yaquab says, a lot of people out there that take that and say, yeah, she was great by She was raped by what's his name? Shechem. Not necessarily so. That's not all it took to be defiled. And the text doesn't say that he raped her. But he definitely violated. And we're going to get into how and what went on that how was she defiled. Because I mean he's trying to do the right things. He's speaking kind words. He's in love with her. He wants her as his wife, but we're like, nah, the script says he defiled her. We're going to get into that. You there?
So chapter 24 and what
verse 1.
Verse 1. Chapter 24, verse 1.
It's the first thing. Oh, not be done.
And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven, and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto thy son of the daughters of the Canaanites.
The Canaanites. So that first thing, the Canaanites. We don't mix with the Canaanites. Go ahead.
Among whom I dwelt. But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. So,
yeah, Dinah was supposed to be for some kindred.
God.
Not for a Canaanite.
God.
Go to Ezra 9 and verse 10 to 12. No, regular Ezra.
Ezra chapter 9, verse 10. And now, our God, what shall we say after this? For we have forsaken thy commandments, which thou hast commanded by thy servant, the prophet, saying, the land unto which ye go to possess it is an unclean land with the filthiness of the people of the lands, which their abominations, which have filled it from one end to another with their uncleanliness. Now, therefore, give not your daughters unto their sons, neither take their daughters unto your sons, nor seek their peace or their wealth forever, that ye may be strong and eat the good of the land and leave it for an inheritance to your children forever.
Right there. So the Most High, he was against the Canaanites. Don't seek peace of them. Don't seek wealth of them. Don't marry with them. He was all the way against the Canaanites. That's why I said I think probably second to Esau in profaneness and being hated would come the Canaanites. Probably, probably go Esau, Canaan, Moab, and Amalek's Esau. So Esau. Then I would go into who's the most hated Edomites. But Amalek definitely. He said what? Most I say have war with Amalek forever. So second problem. So we see already on top defiled. You're Canaanites. You're Canaanites. Marriage, whatever. You're Canaanites. You're unclean. You're abominable. Worse of Philo. Second thing.
Salaki, can I also add that? He didn't go to her father. So that's another thing.
We're going there.
You're going there.
Yup.
Drop that.
Yeah, so
Hold on till you get there.
I'm going to works of Philo to show it because I just like the way he laid it out. But definitely the law state you're supposed to go to the Father, right? We had to have a law put in place in case you didn't. But that law had to be put in place because of the way you're supposed to do it. Sometimes people don't go that route. So we're at the works of Philo, the special laws, chapter 3. Special laws 3, section 11, verse 65 over there. 65 down. The special laws, Philo, the special laws, section 11, verse 65 to 70. I'll pull up on the screen. I'll let you know when you can start. So going exactly what Ipop said, the defiling by not going to the Father first, which is important to know because even we do this. And a lot of us, we see in the law that if you do it, you can just do this, that, and the third. But we got to remember, well, that's not how it's still not supposed to be done that way. But go ahead, 65.
Again, seduction is an offense which is similar and nearly related to adultery.
So he's letting us know seduction, seducing women is almost like adultery. Not saying it is adultery, but it's letting you know the severity of it, how, it's not really the right way to go. Go ahead.
As they are both sprung from one common mother, incontinence. But some of those persons who are accustomed to dignified, shameful actions by suspicious names call this love.
Hold on. They call it love, which is really what? Lust. Kind of. Go ahead.
Blushing to confess the real truth concerning its character. But nevertheless, though it may be akin to it, it is not in every respect similar to it. But it is an offense that does not spread so as to affect many families, as is the case with adultery. But it is limited to one house alone, that of the virgin who has been seduced.
Okay, keep going.
Therefore, we must say to a man who desires to enjoy a virgin who is a freeborn citizen, may good man, rejecting your shamelessness, rashness, and audacity.
Meaning a freeborn citizen, meaning not one of the slaves. Not one of the slaves. Just so there's no confusion, being freeborn citizen as a woman don't mean, I got the freedom to go date who I want and figure out who I want as a hut. That's not what it means. It means not a slave. Go ahead. Because you can deal with your slaves differently than other women that's of your nation that's not slaves. There's a difference. We're not going into that, but go ahead.
The sources of treachery and faithfulness and all such feelings, do not allow yourself to be discovered to be wicked, either openly or secretly. But if indeed you have any legitimate feelings of love for the maiden in your soul, go to her parents.
Here it is. Go to what?
Go to her parents.
Because even though it's allowed, it's kind of wicked to go the other route. Because why would you do it? You're moving off of your lust. Keep going.
If they are alive, and if they are not, then go to her brother, or to her guardians, or to any other person who chance to be her protectors. And having discovered to them your feelings towards her, as a freeborn man should do. Ask her in marriage and implore them not to account you unworthy.
Real quick, so in today's world, it might be hard to do these things, but there's still some things you can do, because for one, how long was you courting the sister before you laid with her? Like, did you actually spend a year, 2 years figuring out if y'all really mesh? And did you? But we can. If you can't go to because a freeborn woman now, she might be single, don't have any men to talk to, or and tell them you want to take her, but you can still court. You can still make sure you know what you dealing with taking her. She knows what she's really dealing with taking you. That way she can't say, oh, he tricked me.
God.
There's things that can be done that show that I'm not moving off of my lust. Right?
God.
Go ahead.
For no one of those who have the guardianship of the maiden entrusted them could be so base as to oppose an earnest and preserving entreaty.
And that's definitely that definitely ain't the way it is today.
Mm-hmm. And especially
you go up to a brother or a dad and you lay all that out. Man, I love her. Blah blah. Nah, I don't like the way you look, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Oh, you an Israelite? You follow the Bible? Hell no. Nah. But that's the best. That's the one. That's the one you should be jumping at this opportunity. Go ahead.
You see, to oppose the earnest and preserving.
Hold on, and especially as to
entreaty, and especially as to refuse you, since you would be found by strict examination not to have falsely pretended a passion which you do not feel, or to have conceived only a superficial love for her, but one which is genuine and thoroughly established. But if anyone being insane and frantic, repudiating, and discarding all the suggestions of reason, were to submit himself wholly to passion and desire as his masters, and looking, as people say, on might as stronger than right.
What's that mean?
On might
moving off of
right.
That means moving off of what I can do as opposed to what I should do.
Okay,
because some people might misconstrue the might part and be like, "Oh, see, you can take women physically." So just to clarify the point that he's making, people who go about doing things because they can as opposed to as they should. That's what he's saying. Now, word to ravish, go ahead.
Were to ravish and seduce women, treating freeborn women as slaves, and doing acts of war in time of peace.
What would that be? When you have captives, you can go amongst your captives and I like her and take her. That also don't mean grape her. If she's fighting you saying no, there's other things you can do. You can sell her, you can whatever. But you can just go about. That's when it's okay to just go about and pick her out. You don't got to talk to her dad. You don't got go to the uncle or brother. Hey, I want to make her my wife. No, that's the law of when you see a woman amongst the captives. That's what he's referencing. So to go about it that way, the way Shechem did with Dinah, he saw her. He didn't go to no father. He didn't go to no brother. That's how he was treating her as a captive or a slave and not a freeborn citizen. See that? Thereby, second way he defiled her. Keep going.
Let such a man be led before the judges.
Mm-hmm.
And if the damsel who has been forced has a father, let him take counsel and deal with the ravisher about espousing her.
Mm-hmm.
Then if he refuse to do so, he shall give
the damsel. We can stop there. So the father can refuse to do so, and then the man still has to pay. But that's a whole different topic. So that was two things. How was she defiled? First off, you're a Canaanite, bro. You're a whole Canaanite. We're not supposed to deal with you even for peace or wealth. Secondly, you just saw that Dinah and you just took her. The hell with her. She got a father. The hell if she got a brother. The hell if we're idolaters and she can't follow this, no, you're gonna come to my house and follow what I follow. That's how he defiled her. So those two things. Now we can go back to Genesis. Any questions?
Back to one. Was she willing participant?
It doesn't say she wasn't, but yeah, I would say yeah. I would say yeah, like you did.
She went out. She had intentions, right? So what I'm getting, and I could be really too deep in it. These women was already promiscuous. When it says she went to the daughters of the land, they probably already was out there, and she knew that.
They were.
Right. She went out with them, and they all was doing the same.
Right.
It's not a question of if they were.
That's what I get out of that story. Because it's not there, right? Mm-hmm. It's not there, but obviously, something happened. He didn't rape her. Mm-hmm. She was consenting.
Right. It says she went out to the land to see how the daughters of the land were.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I would say I'm of the belief that it was consensual. I'm of that belief. We know they was like that though, because it said that the Canaanites are abominable, filthy, unclean. Yeah. So we know they was acting like that.
She was a rebellious daughter is what I'm getting from.
Right, that's what it's looking like.
We already know what that comes with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you don't even gotta be to like arguing with your pops or family members just to be rebellious. Simple as I know I'm supposed to be in this house.
Right.
Dinah knew. Right. People knew in that time. You might not know that now today that you're supposed to be in the house, but they knew then. And she knew she was supposed to be in that house. She knew she wasn't supposed to go out with the Canaanites. That's why we about to read. The brothers are pissed off because everybody in the house knew about the Canaanites and us not dealing with them. So definitely rebellious. Because what you doing? How did you get out there alone? How is it Jacob finds out and the brothers are in the field? Oh, so you waited till nobody. Right. Yeah. Oh, they done. Yeah, everybody going. Oh, I can.
Yeah.
Yep.
It reminds me of
she went out the front door. She didn't go out the window.
Yeah, right.
It reminds me of the story in Judges. I don't want to get too deep in it. The story in Judges where the woman, the Levite's concubine, went out and played the whore. And they she went out and played the whore, and then they killed what they went against Benjamin because of it reminds me of the same story though. It's kind of similar.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. She was rebellious. She just was doing her thing. She was playing the whore. That's what I get at.
Because she went, and that one she went out to play the whore, and she knew not to come back home. She went to Pop's house. Yeah. You done been given away. Yeah. That's not you belong over there. So kind. All right, let's go back to verse 8. We're back at 34, verse 8.
34. Genesis 34, verse 8. And Hamor communed with them, saying, the soul of thy son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you give him to wife, and make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you, and ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me, I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me. But give me the damsel to wife. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. And they said unto them, we cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. But in this will we consent unto you, if ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. Then will we give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people.
So, real quick, so what's the big deal about circumcision? Because we it's a continued theme through the Bible. We keep seeing, and if they'll do this, then we'll allow her to be your wife. So, what's the big deal about circumcision all the time? That's something to look into. So, for this, I want to go into the Philo again. Because Philo he talks about the importance of physically and even spiritually, and he even talks about during that time, sometimes people would question it. It's special laws. Special laws 1, the beginning. 1, section 1, verse 2 to 11. The works of Philo. Back in the Philo.
Okay.
Go ahead when you're ready.
The genera and heads of all special laws, which are called the 10 Commandments, have been discussed with accuracy in the former treaties. We must now proceed to consider the particular commandments as we read them in the
just drop to verse 2.
Drop to verse 2. The ordinances of circumcision of the parts of generation is ridiculed, though it is an act which is practiced to no slight degree among other nations also, and most especially by the Egyptians, who appear to me to be the most populous of all nations and the most abundant in all kinds of wisdom, in consequences of which it would be most fitting for men to discard childish ridicule and to investigate the real cause of the ordinances, which more prudence and dignity, considering the reasons why the custom has prevailed, and not being precipitate, so as without examination to condemn the folly of the mighty nations, recollecting that it is not probable that so many merits should be circumcised in every generation, mutilating the bodies of themselves and of the nearest relations in manner which is accompanied with severe pain
Mm-hmm.
without adequate cause, but that there are many reasons which might encourage men to preserve
Persevere.
and persevere and continue a custom which has been introduced by previous generations, and that these are from reasons of greatest weight and importance. First of all, that is it. First of all, that it is a prevent. What's that?
It is preventive.
Preventative of painful diseases and of affection difficult to be cured, which they call a carbuncle.
Or what?
Carbuncle.
Carbuncle?
Carbuncle.
Let me read what a carbuncle is. A skin infection that occurs when multiple boils merge into a single connected area of infection under the skin. See that?
Gone.
So that's what he's going into. Preventive of that. Go ahead.
Because I imagine when it comes inflamed, it burns, from which fact it has derived that appellation.
What verse we at?
I'm on 4. It's derived from
You didn't read the Greek word is anthrax, which also signifies a cold. A cold. The Latin from which our carbuncle is derived. Carbunculus, a diminutive of carbo, which also means a cold because I imagine when it becomes inflamed, it burns. Now keep going. So that's why it's called a cold. When it becomes inflamed, it burns. And he said this is a preventive measure from suffering that. Go ahead.
Okay, when it becomes inflamed, it burns.
Mm-hmm.
From which fact it has derived that appellation, and this disease is very apt to be engendered among those who have not undergone the rites of circumcision.
Okay.
Secondly, it secures the cleanliness of the whole body in a way that is suited to the people consecrated to God.
Go ahead.
Which object the Egyptian priests being extravagant in their case, shave the whole of their bodies. For some of these evils, which ought to be got rid of, are collected in and lodged under the hair and the
prepuce, which I believe is the skin.
Okay. Thirdly, there is a reasonable of the part
resemblance
of the part that is circumcised to the heart. For both parts are prepared for the sake of generation.
Mm-hmm.
For the breath contained within the heart is generative of thoughts.
Right.
And the generative organ itself is productive of living beings.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore,
watch this part. This part, I'm gonna correlate this with something done today. Go ahead.
Therefore, the men of old thought it right to make the evident and visible organ by which the objects of the outward sense are generated, resemble that invisible and superior part by means of which ideas are formed.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth and most important is that which relates to the provision thus made for.
Oh, this is the one. This is the point. Something that people do today. Go ahead. The fourth is relates to provision That's made for prolificness.
Prolificness.
Let me look that up real quick. Prolificness. Definition. The state of being prolific. The state of being prolific. I gotta look that up. Or producing a large amount of something. What's prolific mean? But producing a large amount of something. Prolific. Producing much fruit. So for the provision thus made for producing much fruit. This is one of the reasons and purposes. Go ahead.
For it is said that the seminal fluid proceeds in its path easily, neither being at all scattered, nor flowing on its passage into what may be called the bags of the prepuce.
That word is foreskin.
Prepuce?
Yeah.
Right. So,
It's like an extra
yeah, the skin.
Yeah, so it's saying it gets
Caught in there like a bag.
Yeah.
Like today, people purposefully use a what?
Condom.
A condom. He said that without it, it works like a condom works.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow.
But today, that's a top seller.
Yeah.
Condoms are the top seller. I don't want to go in depth, but I wonder if that's like what they were talking about when they said made themselves uncircumcised. Taking preventive measures to keep fornicating without and stop the flow of the semen. But that's
like a reverse circumcision. Huh?
Yeah, remember this because they're saying that they physically, I'm wondering if when they said it, if they were meaning preventive measures, like it didn't have to necessarily be a surgery that putting on a condom, because you can look it up. They even go back that far as Greek time. If that's what they were saying, that's just a thought. I'm not saying it is what it is, but go ahead. But this was the purposes that he's talking about. And just so look at us today, we take so many measures to not procreate, but still to do the thing that procreates. See what I'm saying? Go ahead.
On which account those nations which practice circumcision are the most prolific and the most populous.
Mm-hmm.
These considerations have come to our ears, having been discussed of old among men of divine spirit and wisdom, who have interpreted the writings of Moses in on no superficial careless manner. But besides what has been already said, I also look upon circumcision to be a symbol of two things of the most indispensable importance. First of all, it is a symbol of the excision of the pleasures which dilute the mind. For since of all the delights which pleasure can afford, the association of man with women is the most exquisite. It seemed good to the lawgivers to mutilate the organ which ministers to such connection, by which right they signified figuratively the accession of all superfluous and excessive pleasure, not indeed of one only, but of all others, wherever thou one which is the most imperious of all.
Keep going.
The second thing is that is a symbol of a man's knowing himself and discarding that terrible disease the vain opinion of the soul.
It represents discarding the vain opinion of your soul. It's going into the spiritual aspects. Go ahead.
For some men, like good statuaries, have boasted that they can make the most beautiful animal man.
That they can make that most beautiful animal man. Go ahead.
And being puffed up with arrogance, have deified themselves.
They deified themselves.
Oh, deified themselves. It's a lot.
This is the vain opinion that may have. Go ahead.
Hiding from sight the true cause of the creation of all things, namely God.
Mm-hmm.
Although they might have corrected that error from a consideration of other persons among whom they live.
Go ahead.
For there are among them many men who have no children and have barren women.
And many barren women.
And many barren women whose connections led to nothing, so that they grow old in childlessness.
Mm-hmm.
We must therefore eradicate evil opinions from the mind and all other ideas which are not devoted to God.
Mm-hmm.
This then is enough to say on these subjects.
There you go. Okay, let's go back. So just a little something on the importance and why it's such a big deal. That's why we went there. We can go back to Genesis. Verse 17. So he was telling the father that if they all got circumcised, that they could have Dinah. Now we're at verse 17, chapter 34.
Okay. Genesis 34, verse 17. But if ye will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughters and we will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And their words pleased Hamor and Shishak,
mm-hmm.
Hamor's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing because he had delight in Jacob's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And he was more honorable than all the house of his father.
See, if he had graped her, I don't think they would even said that. Yeah, like I don't think they would even said that at all. Keep going.
And Hamor and Shishak, his son, came unto the gate of their city and communed with the men of their city, saying, these men are peaceable with us. Therefore, let them dwell in the land and trade therein.
Mm-hmm.
For the land, behold, it is a large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters.
See, now they even going beyond. It ain't just for her. Look, we can take their daughters and we can just keep going.
Mm-hmm. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people.
We can be one people. We can intermingle, become one people. Go ahead.
If every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised.
Right. And then
shall not
don't go for it yet. It's always with the heathens, become one people. We are the world, like the song back in the day, we are the world, we are the children. That's what the society tries to always have. We are the world, we are the children. Make a brighter day, so let's start giving. Right? That's what all the nations are about. Why? Because there's one world we can step away from God. That's why. But no, with the Most High, it ain't so.
That's what Antiochus tried.
Christians preach that one world bullshit. Salagia. It ain't so. God ain't never push it.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
That's what Antiochus tried.
That's what Antiochus was talking the same thing. It's always they all try to talk that. So we're going to pause there. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7. It's always a become one people thing when it comes to the heathens, whether it be Esau or Canaan, whether it be the Babylonian king, it's always a one people thing.
That's to eradicate Israel.
Exactly.
Until they fade out.
Yeah, because then we can control the earth, because those are the people that's meant to rule the planet. So if we can eradicate that just by simply let's get them to get in with us, blend with us, marry off with us, we marry them and become one people. Then there's what? No more Israel.
Right.
There's Psalm 83. Come. So you got it?
Deuteronomy 32, verse 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance.
The Most High did what?
Divided
the nations.
Divided to the nations their inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
When he separated the sons of Adam.
Separated the sons. No one people. Most High wants separation. I mean, these people like this, these people like that, these people like that, these people like that. Why? Because that's the way I want it. Go ahead.
He set the bonds of the people according to the number of their children of Israel.
That's their problem. Because it was all done according to Israel. Go ahead.
For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
Drop that. Sirach 17:16.
Can I get a precept too?
What you got?
Deuteronomy 4:19.
Yeah, let's no, I don't got it. We can go there. While you get that, let me know when you get it. We'll go here. Deuteronomy 4. Let me pull it.
It also goes with the Most High gave, like their God. He gave them that land. That's the sun and the stars. That's what that scripture talk about.
1 second. All right.
4:19.
Yep.
Yeah, right there.
Now you got it?
Come.
Read it.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 19. And lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest thou be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven.
So that's what he gave the nations to worship.
Do that.
Right, and they do that.
Sun, moon worshipers.
Sun, moon worshipers.
Astrology,
all of that.
But the
astrology.
Right. Now keep going down.
But Yahweh hath taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day.
As ye are this day, and that's what the nations, they know this. The nations know this. So how can we change that? How can we change that? Well, we can't really defeat them, so we can blend with them. We can trick them. Go ahead, bring that up.
Okay, so this is Sirach chapter 16.
Chapter 17, verse 16. Come.
Okay. Verse 16. Every man from his youth is given to evil. Neither could they make themselves fleshly hearts for stone.
So every man is given to evil, including all men, the nations, Everybody. Go ahead.
For in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people. But Israel is the Lord's portion.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Whom being his firstborn, he nourished with discipline.
See, that's the difference. Everybody's born evil, but the Most High, Yahweh, nourishes Israel, though. Israel, you're getting cleaned off. Israel, you're getting being brought up to understand wisdom, but not the other nations. Go ahead.
And giving him the light of his love, doeth not forsake him.
See, that's only for Israel. So next question, why then are the nations against God's will? Why? We just read some of it, but let's get a little more. Additions of Esther 13, verse 3-5. It's very specific. What's the problem that the nations have? Why do they want to do away with Israel? This is why. We become one people, we can do away with this. Addition, it's in the Apocrypha. Additions of Esther, you got it? Yeah, 13, verse 3-5.
Oh, the rest of Esther?
Yeah, it's called Rest of Esther too. Mm-hmm. Then it's 13 and verse 3.
Can you help me open the door?
Nah? Well, you gotta get in there. Huh? You gotta get in there. It's some meat on that bone. Definitely some meat on that bone.
After second Ezra, Tobit.
I got it. Verse what?
After Judith.
What's after
Yeah.
Judah?
Yeah,
Verse.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, okay.
yeah. Chapter 13. Oh, you there?
Come.
All right, he's gonna read out
What verse?
verse 3-5.
The book of Esther, chapter 13, verse 3. Now I asked my counselors how this might be brought to pass.
Mm-hmm.
A man that
Amon.
Mm-hmm. that exceeded in wisdom among us and was approved for his constant good.
And this is a Edomite, an Amalekite at that, counseling the king of the Persians. Go ahead.
Approved for his constant good, will and steadfast
fidelity,
and had the honor of the second place in the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people.
So they see us as malicious people. Go ahead.
That had laws contrary to all nations.
So everybody knows our laws are contrary to their laws. Go ahead.
And continually despise the commandments of the king.
Because we follow the Most High's laws, so we despise commandments that's opposite of that. Go ahead.
So as the unity of our kingdoms honorably intended by us cannot go forward.
So if we don't get them to be one people with us, they're going to prevent our kingdoms from becoming one the way we want to do things. Go ahead.
Seeing that we understand that this people alone is continually in opposite.
See, we're seen as being in opposition. Go ahead.
Opposition unto all
to
men.
All men. Go ahead.
Differing in a strange manner of their laws.
Right. Our laws are strange to them. Go ahead.
And evil affected to our states working.
Because with us in charge means their estates, their ways can't go on. They understand these things. Keep going.
Working all mischief.
Yeah. We're mischievous to the other nations. Damn right. We work much mischief to them.
They can that our kingdom may not be firmly established.
So us in charge, us not becoming one with them, means at the end of the day, their kingdom's not being firmly established. All nations understand this. 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 54.
Apocrypha Bible.
Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Hold that again.
2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 54 to 56.
2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 54.
Con,
2nd Ezra chapter 6,
you
verse 54.
go back to the Bible and hold verse 23. You're gonna read it in a minute. Go ahead, up.
All right. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also, whom thou hast chosen.
Mm-hmm.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel.
So they understand that to the Most High, they're nothing, and that the world was made for Israel's sakes. So this is why they don't want the will of the Most High, because they know the will of the Most High ain't so favorable for them. Read verse 23 and back in Genesis. Don't go nowhere.
the book of Genesis, chapter 24, verse 23. Shall not their cattle and their substances and every beast of their be ours?
So the Canaanites, they said, if we intermarry with them, if we become one people, their cattle and substance will be ours. So they want what we have. If we get them to be with us, we can take what they have. What they have can be ours. Go ahead.
Only let us consent unto them,
Mm-hmm.
and they will dwell with us.
Okay, drop that. Now back to 2nd Ezra. So they understand these things. We can get what they have also.
Verse 57. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands.
Okay, drop that. And so I just brought the rest of that out to show, and that's exactly how it came to be. Eventually, what happened? We started to what? Eventually, we started to blend with the Canaanites and all the nations. So now, even those heathen, what they know they could do by blending with us, now they did it through us following after them, and not being obedient to what was already put down that would have prevented us. That's why we always say when they be like, oh, it says they read other scriptures that Deuteronomy 28:68, and they'll say, see, it says you sold yourselves into slavery. That's why we always say, we did this to ourselves. We sold ourselves into slavery by doing what? Blending with the nations, following their ways. But just to show, we're going back to Genesis. What we just read with verse 23, they understood these things. They said, if we become one people, everything they got can become ours. So the nations, they understand these things, even from way back then, before we became a nation.
Yeah, that's how they got this stuff.
Right, exactly.
They started
Blending in.
with the natives.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, when they die off, they're on the land.
Time. Exactly. The ones that we couldn't kill, treat us. Blended. Take their stuff. Why didn't the Most High stop it? Because he said not to do it. If we didn't do it, then he would have stopped it. verse 24.
Genesis 34, verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
And unto Hamer, and unto Shechem, his son, hearken, all that went out of the great gate of the city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city.
All right, scoot over this way, son. I don't know if they can hear you. I want to make sure they can. But go ahead. Keep going.
Of his city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males.
Mm-hmm.
And they slew Hamer and Shechem, his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city.
All praises. Keep going.
Because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and that which was in the city and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, ye have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and
the Perizzites.
The Perizzites, and being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, should he deal with our sister as with a harlot?
Okay, stop there. So the brothers understood something. That our father Jacob in his haste, no, I'm good. In his haste, he's like, yo, y'all tripping. But the whole time, this whole thing was of the Most High. And to prove that, or show that, let's go. We're almost done. But let's go to Judith chapter 9, verse 2 to 4. Just to show.
The Perizzites. So is that possible that word derives from parasites? I'm just saying. I ain't looked it up.
I'm thinking. You mean the opposite? Are parasites derived from parasites?
That's what I mean.
Possibly.
Because we already know that these people were filthy. And that's part of the reason the Most High didn't want us dealing with them, because they had diseases, and a lot of the killing of the nations was because they, were filthy, and they had, certain diseases, and that's why we wasn't supposed to mix with them. But is that word possibly?
I'm about to look it up.
The word parasites derived from parasites?
I think it's possible. I want to see what parasite belong.
Because a lot of the words,
parasite means. Parasite means belonging to a village. People have now. Now I'm gonna look up what parasite means.
Yeah,
I'm with you. You're talking about possibilities.
Because
and why not?
One word that it's not Hebrew, but what's the word? I think when we get the word vandal.
But watch this though. I think what you just said isn't unreasonable, because parasite in the Bible, it means belonging to a village. All right. A parasite is an organism that lives on or inside another organism called the host. Right. So the village would be the host.
Right.
Hey. Yeah. I think you're on to something. I'm for real too.
That's one of the reasons why we couldn't mix with them, because they literally were a parasite of the land. That's why a lot of killing, they had to be destroying everything.
And what does a parasite do? it destroys things if it stays there and you don't get rid of it, right? And what do? They destroy things if you don't get rid of them.
Right.
So I actually like that. I like that. I think what he's saying is, I think you might be right. What he's saying is it possible that them in the English language making up words to mean something through science? They was like, for this organism that they called a parasite, what name should we give it before it had a name? Looking at what it does, and they was like, you know what, parasites. Let's name this parasite. I think it definitely. I think you're on something with it. So Judith chapter 9 verse 2, and we're gonna read the 4, and then we'll close out. So this was all of the Lord is why we're going here. Go ahead.
I got it.
Well, he got it.
Okay.
Do you got it?
I got it.
Either or, it don't matter. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. The book of Judith, chapter 9, verse 2.
Khan.
O Lord, O Yahweh of my father,
God of
Simeon,
my father. Khan.
to whom thou gavest a sword to take vengeance of the strangers.
So the Most High gave this sword to Simeon, put it in his mind. Go ahead.
And who loosened the girdle of a maid to defile her, and discovered the thigh of her shame, to her shame, and polluted her virginity to her reproach. For thou sayest, it shall not be so, and yet they did so. Wherefore thou gavest their rulers to be slain, so that they dyed their bed in blood, being deceived and notice the servants of their lords,
with their
lords upon their thrones, and have haste given their wives for prey, and their daughters to captives, and all their spoils to be divided among thy dear children.
Yep.
Which were moved with thy zeal, and aborted
the pollution.
No, I'm right here.
Abhorred
the pollution of their blood, and called upon thee for aid, O God, O my Lord, O my God. Hear me also
and drop it. So everything, that whole thing was of the Most High Yahweh. So we're going to stop the reading right there. Let me go into my studio. Yeah, this is mine. It goes to this book. Okay, kind. Yeah, so we're going to conclude to that. Everybody online, we're going to conclude with Genesis chapter 34. I'm going to end out by once again giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh by Hashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai. This has been the Hebrew Chosen Elect's Shabbat class that we hold every Saturday, usually from 1 to 4 p.m. You know, just I say, if you're out there online, hope that you enjoy the rest of your Sabbath. We're going to close out by saying, Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
And Shalom.
Shalom.
Woo-wee.